Hey guys, let's get into a full breakdown of the latest U.S. mountain weather pattern because this has been one of the most productive storm cycles we've seen in weeks. The atmosphere has aligned almost exactly as projected, and the results across the West have been impressive both in terms of snowfall totals and snow quality. We've been under the influence of a deep Pacific trough driving repeated waves of moisture into the western United States. The jet stream has been positioned in a way that funnels storm energy straight into California, Utah, and then into Colorado, with each system reinforcing the snowpack. What's made this cycle especially efficient is the cold air in place combined with strong orographic lift. Snow ratios in several zones have been running between 15:1 and even 20:1 at times, meaning lighter, drier powder stacking up quickly. Let's start in Utah because the Wasatch has absolutely delivered. At Alta Ski Area, storm totals have pushed toward and beyond the 50-inch mark when combining waves in this cycle. That is exceptional production in a relatively short time window. Over at Solitude Mountain Resort, snowfall totals have climbed toward the 3-foot range, and snow state cameras show a deeply buried base. Little Cottonwood and Big Cottonwood canyons have both been squeezing out every bit of moisture from these systems due to ideal wind direction and terrain enhancement. Access has been the biggest issue rather than snowfall itself, with avalanche mitigation and heavy traffic impacting canyon travel. The snow quality, however, has been top-tier cold smoke powder with strong base building characteristics. Moving west into California, the Sierra Nevada continues to benefit from direct Pacific moisture feed. At Mammoth Mountain, multiple feet have accumulated through this cycle, and additional waves are reinforcing totals. Tahoe Basin resorts and the higher elevations near Mount Shasta are also seeing consistent accumulation. The Sierra has seen periods of higher water content snow compared to Utah, but colder air in the later waves improved ratios significantly. The net effect is a strengthening snowpack with strong upper mountain coverage. Travel impacts over passes have been significant during peak storm intensity, and avalanche conditions in the backcountry remain elevated due to rapid loading from successive systems. Now shifting into Colorado, snowfall has been more moderate compared to Utah, but still right on track with expectations given the storm trajectory. Western and southwestern Colorado have been favored in this pattern. At Loveland Ski Area, around 10 inches fell over a recent 48-hour window, with continued light to moderate additions as embedded shortwaves pass through. The San Juan Mountains, including Wolf Creek and Telluride zones, have been particularly efficient producers in this southwest flow setup. Crested Butte and Aspen Snowmass areas have also benefited, especially at higher elevations. East of Vail and into the Front Range, totals taper off due to downsloping and shadowing effects once moisture crosses the Continental Divide. This distribution was expected and aligns with model guidance from the beginning of the cycle. As we move north into Wyoming, the Tetons stand out as a late-cycle beneficiary. Jackson Hole Mountain Resort is projected to outperform parts of Colorado in the extended range as the storm track shifts slightly northward. Accumulations in the 10 to 17-inch range are reasonable through the extended window, depending on final storm alignment and temperature profiles. The northern Rockies overall are positioned to benefit as the broader pattern evolves. Looking at the atmospheric mechanics behind all of this, we've been tracking a pronounced dip in the jet stream across the west. That trough has acted like a conveyor belt, guiding storm systems from the Pacific into the Great Basin and onward into the Rockies. Pressure anomalies have remained below normal across much of the West during the peak of this cycle, supporting upward motion and sustained precipitation. As we move toward the end of the month, ensemble guidance suggests rising heights and increasing high pressure across much of the western United States. That means the most active storm track may gradually lift northward into the Pacific Northwest and western Canada. That shift is important because it changes the snowfall focus. During the next phase, the Pacific Northwest and interior British Columbia become prime targets. At Revelstoke Mountain Resort and Kicking Horse Mountain Resort, the late-month window looks particularly promising. With the storm track arcing into southern British Columbia, these areas could see multiple rounds of moderate to heavy snowfall. Orographic enhancement combined with consistent moisture transport supports the idea of deep totals stacking up over several days. This is a classic northward shift pattern where the central Rockies quiet down somewhat while the northern tier remains active. In the Pacific Northwest, Higher elevations of Washington and Oregon will also benefit as the moisture plume redirects north. Snow levels will be something to watch closely, as slight temperature variations can determine whether lower elevations see rain or heavy wet snow. However, at resort elevations, snowfall production should remain solid during active periods. Looking at total precipitation equivalents over the next 8 to 15 days, models show an initial strong push followed by a gradual northward contraction of the heaviest totals. When converting those precipitation values to snow using a conservative 10-to-1 ratio, several zones in the Sierra and northern Rockies show the potential for at least a foot, with isolated areas exceeding 2 feet depending on elevation and storm timing. High-resolution ensemble plumes suggest moderate totals for Berthoud Pass in Colorado, while stronger signals appear for the Tetons and interior British Columbia. Meanwhile, the Northeast is seeing its own active pattern, though not as extreme as the West. Clipper systems moving through the Great Lakes and into New England are producing narrow but efficient bands of snowfall. At Whiteface Mountain and Mount Snow, accumulations in the 3 to 8-inch range are reasonable with localized higher pockets depending on band placement. Farther south at Snowshoe Mountain, lighter totals are expected but still enough to freshen surfaces. The Midwest sees lighter accumulations overall, generally 1 to 5 inches in favored zones, as clippers move quickly and lack deep Gulf moisture. From a safety standpoint, avalanche danger remains elevated across many western mountain zones due to rapid loading, wind transport, and layering from successive storms. Backcountry users should pay close attention to local avalanche center advisories. Travel disruptions through mountain corridors are likely during heavier bursts, and road closures for mitigation work remain possible in canyon areas of Utah and high passes in California and Colorado. Looking ahead into the 10 to 15-day window, the big story is the evolving ridge pattern. As high pressure builds across portions of the West, snowfall opportunities may decrease across central and southern Rockies while remaining active farther north. This does not mean completely dry conditions everywhere, but the frequency and intensity of storms may diminish outside the northern tier. Ensemble agreement between traditional models and AI-assisted guidance is relatively strong on this broader transition, lending confidence to the idea of a northward-focused storm track by early March. In summary, this has been a highly efficient and productive storm cycle driven by favorable jet positioning, consistent Pacific moisture transport, and supportive cold air. Utah has delivered exceptional powder, Colorado has met expectations with regional variability, the Sierra continues to build an impressive snowpack, and the northern Rockies along with interior British Columbia appear next in line as the pattern shifts. The atmosphere has behaved in a largely textbook manner, and the forecast going forward reflects both short-term continuation and longer-term transition. Stay alert to changing travel conditions, respect avalanche risks, and if you're chasing snow, timing and location will make all the difference over the next 2 weeks.